Call to order. Glocester Town Council meeting October 17, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilor Greathouse.
Here.
Councilor Steer.
Here.
Councilor Burlingame.
Here.
Councilor Arnold. Councilor Worthy.
Please join us for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open forum for agenda items. Anybody signed up? Okay. All right, consent items, discussion, interaction. A, approval of town council minutes regarding meeting of October 3rd, 2024. B, tax assessors additions and abatements, September 2024. C, finance director's report, September 2024. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the town council minutes of October 3rd, 2024, to approve the additions to the 2024 tax roll in the amount of $4,944.36, and the abatements to the 2024 tax roll in the amount of $2,420.35, and to accept the finance director's report for September 2024.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Unfinished business. A, ARPA funds. 1, obligate ARPA funds, project number 53, in addition $24,000 towards purchase of a first-line police vehicle. Discussion, interaction. This was previously tabled.
Yeah, so we've had discussions about this, and the money is there, so I'm gonna make a motion to obligate Project 53 an additional $24,000 towards purchase of a first-line police vehicle.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
New business, annual town council meeting calendar amendment. Discussion, interaction. Council briefly discussed whether to amend the annual calendar by eliminating the first meeting in November due to the staff related to the election, general election preparation, voting, and follow-up tabulation takes all week. Does the council agree to eliminate the one meeting? If so, we'll need to make a vote to amend the calendar. I think we're all kind of good with that, right?
I'll make a motion to amend the annual meeting calendar by eliminating the town council meeting of November 7th, 2024.
Take a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. B, comprehensive community plan proposed amendments, first reading, discussion or action. Comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance is amended, required a first reading. The subdivision regulation amendments just require notice to the council for council input prior to the planning board's public hearing. Back to the meeting of September 19, 2024. The following memo was read into record to explain the process the planner is working on. This is now the first part of the process. Okay, there's copies over there on the shelf if anybody wants to see the first reading. 2 council members from Karen Scott, Town Planner, date September 17, 2024, proposed amendments to the Glocester Code of Ordinance related to the housing and land use. The town of Glocester, along with Rhode Island municipalities, are required to amend their local land use regulations in response to enabling legislation that has passed in 2023 and 2024 by the General Assembly. The Planning Board has been working diligently and has finalized amendments to the following sections of our ordinances and regulations. Number 1, zoning ordinance. Definitions, notification, modifications, variances. Development plan review, unified development review, adaptive reuse, substandard lots of record, comprehensive permit for low and moderate income housing. Number 2, subdivision regulations. Certificate of completion, minor subdivisions and land development project, major subdivisions, design requirements, unified development review, administration, appeals definitions, development plan review procedures. 3, comprehensive plan, growth centers. The planning board worked with the Weston and Sampson, a consultant we hired using municipal technical assistant grant, to draft the language. In all sections that are amended, we attempted to maximize public participation and public notice in compliance with the new legislation. The planning board has begun the process of moving these amendments through the approval process on the following schedule. Number 1, zoning ordinance amendments. A, first reading before town council 10/17/24. B, advisory opinion before planning board 11/12/24. C, public hearing before town council 11/21/24. 2, the comprehensive plan amendments. A, first reading before council on 10/17/24. B, advisory opinion before planning board 11/12/24. C, public hearing before the town council 11/21/24. 3, subdivision regulations. A, notice the request for input from the town council on 10/17/24. B, public hearing before the planning board on 11/12/2024. 11/12/24. Just wanted to make the town council aware of these upcoming changes and hearings. I'm happy to answer any questions related to this information in a memo. So to constitute the first reading, the changes will be all read in full, or someone needs to explain what the amendments are. Karen, do you wanna give us a?
I don't think you want me to read them in full, so I'll go ahead and explain.
Oh,
what
we
they
got
are.
plenty of time. Let's, full score instead of next go.
So we've separated into there's three documents two that we're doing first reading for, one that is an advisory opinion from you to the planning board. So the two that are here for first reading, the comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance, there's copies over there, and there should be a summary sheet on top of each individual section, so it should be pretty easy to follow. I'll just start with the comprehensive plan. We're proposing changes that would designate two types of growth centers within the town. One first is growth center commercial, which is a vehicle-oriented commercial that involves neighborhood commercial and highway commercial zoning districts. And growth center mixed use, which is a pedestrian-oriented commercial district, which includes the village district. In short, we're designating these to maximize commercial review in front of the planning board and to ensure that the public maintains maximum access to all land use decisions. I'll review this, why we need to do this comprehensive plan amendment a little further on when we get to the subdivision regulations and how this will work with maximizing the commercial review, so I'll get to that part. But that's it for the comprehensive plan. Moving on, so that would be first reading on the comprehensive plan. Gene, do you want me to just go through all three, or do they have to stop and stop at the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, I guess we can do the comp plan one now, right? The motion?
Or do you want me to do like all of them first?
Well, I have the motion separate, so maybe
Yeah,
it's easier.
since they're separate motions, why don't we just do them one at a time?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now.
If you're done with it, I would make a motion to approve the first reading, as long as there's no questions by the council. Obviously, the public hearing's gonna be held both at the planning board level and at the council on future dates. This is just a notice reading.
So first, can I get a motion?
Motion to accept the first reading for proposed amendments of the comprehensive community plan and to set a public hearing date for November 21, 2024.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next one.
Okay, so zoning ordinance. Again, I'm gonna just follow along on that cover sheet that you have on top of all the amendments. It's all the different sections. So the first section is definitions. We're making changes to the definition of development plan review, dimensional variance, and land development project to be consistent with the new Rhode Island general law that was took effect earlier this year. And as I get to those sections, I'll go into the more specifics of what each of those definitions entails. Administration and enforcement notice. When abutters are notified as part of a zoning action, it's by first-class mail now instead of certified mail, and the newspaper notice is now a paper of local circulation instead of general circulation. This again is consistent with Rhode Island general law changes that went into effect this year. Administration and enforcement modifications. Modifications by the zoning official to the dimensional requirements of the zoning ordinance used to be optional, and we did not take advantage of that option, and now modifications are required. So what it mandates is that we now allow modifications of up to 15% of the zoning requirements administratively by the zoning official. So as an example, if someone's setback is 50 feet, the zoning official can grant a modification after making certain findings that are outlined in the regulations of up to 15 feet without going to the zoning board. If he makes those findings and grants that modification, all property that touches the property that the modification is at will get a notice, and they have 14 days to object to the modification. If no one objects, it's granted, it's done. If someone does object, or if the zoning official didn't make the required findings in the first place, then it goes to the zoning board as a variance. Whereas before, everything just went as a variance. You could have been 1 foot or 30 feet off. Everyone did the same process. So now this gives, if you're within 15%, you get this different process. Administration and enforcement variances. The zoning board has certain findings that it needs to make in order to grant a variance. And these have been altered to remove 2 requirements. One requirement would historically had been the board can't grant a variance if the desire for the variance results primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. So that's been removed. People are welcome to have their financial gain now, so that's not a finding or a reason to deny a variance anymore. And that the relief granted is the least relief necessary. That used to be a finding they had to make, and they no longer, that finding is deleted from state law. Special regulations, development plan review. So that entire section was removed from the zoning ordinance, and it's relocated to the subdivision regulations. So when we get to the subdivision regulation review, I'll go through what that looks like. It's essentially the same as we have now, with some minor changes to reflect the changes in state law. Okay, special regulations, unified development review. Under previous Rhode Island general law, this review was optional. Now it's required. So essentially what it does is, if an applicant requires a review by both the planning board and the zoning board, for example, you need a subdivision, but you also need a variance, you used to have to go to 2 boards. Now, we're required to do unified development review. So in those cases where an applicant is going to the planning board and they need a variance, the planning board acts as the planning board, but also the zoning board, and is authorized to grant the variance, provided they make the required findings that are in the ordinance and required by state law. Adaptive reuse. I just want to point out there's a typo in the section number, and I'll change that. I just want to put it on the record. It's 350-58.3, not 350-59. So I'll make that change when it gets to the public hearing. So what this does is allows the reuse of an existing structure to a different use, regardless of the zoning district, as long as 50% of the floor area is dedicated to residential uses. So essentially, any vacant building anywhere can be reused as residential and commercial, or all residential, no matter the zoning district, provided that 50% of the floor area is dedicated to residential. This also has requirements for density, dimensions, parking uses, design, affordable housing requirements, but it also gives a minimum density requirement, which is 15 units an acre. So that's, I think this, I don't anticipate, I'm imagining imagine like a vacant, abandoned Lowe's building in a bigger city where the big box is just empty and it's a commercial district. Now you can go in and turn that into a residential development as long as 50% of it is residential. I think that was the idea behind this, but it, again, applies to everyone. So that's now in the ordinance, new section, required by state law. Non-conforming uses. So we have regulations that allowed decreased setbacks and increased lot coverages for undersized lots. That would be a lot that doesn't meet the minimum requirements of the zoning. So we're repealing our language and replacing it with the state required language. So if you have a substandard lot of record, meaning it doesn't meet the minimum lot size for the district, the setbacks can be lessened and the lot coverage increased by the same proportion by which the lot is undersized. Have a moment. I know. So here's an example. Say you're in A4, that requires 4 acres, and your lot is 2 acres. That's 50% of the required 4-acre lot. So now you can decrease your setbacks by 50% and increase your lot coverage by 50% by right. So if we require 50-foot setbacks, you now only have to have 25-foot setbacks. But scale that all the way down to a 10,000 square foot lot. So then you start talking about very, very, very small setbacks. We're definitely getting pushback on this one already, but this is the way the state law was written. There is no wiggle room for us. It is a straight calculation, and the calculation is what it is. So in some of the more congested areas, particularly around the lakes, we're going to start seeing a lot of people be able to high-five out their windows. But that's the way the state law was written. They didn't give any room for customization on the municipality's part. Merged lots. So when you have 2 undersized lots that are under 30,000 square feet and they're contiguous, they touch each other, and they're in the same ownership, they're considered merged by zoning. That means you can't put a house on one and a house on the other. Because I think the origins of this is, so say you're in I'll just use a lake community where there was an HOA and you used to be able to have your one vote per lot. Well, people created all these little lots. They have a house, and then there'd be all these little lots. So you'd have like 10 votes in an HOA, but it was never an intention to put 10 houses on these little lots. So zoning essentially said, we're gonna merge all these little lots, so you can't try and stick a house on each of these individual lots. Now, you can't do that anymore, unless, if this new section now prevents that type of merger if the substandard lot has an area greater to or equal than the average of 50% of the lots within 200 feet. So say you have a whole community of small lots, normally they'd be merged. Well, now you have to look at a 200-foot radius from that lot, and if 50% of the lots are equal to or less than that lot, you can't merge them. If it's greater, you do merge them.
So the lots that were already merged remain merged, right?
Great question. Yes, I think is the short answer, but I would probably imagine there's going to be some case law coming down the pipe about that. Hopefully not from here, but you know, this is all new. The interpretations are, you know, what they say, but there's lots of questions like that will come up, and you know. But as far as we're concerned, this was a point in time, January 1st, 2024. This took effect, and everything that happens after that, anything that happened before that, happened. Okay, and then comprehensive permits for low and moderate income housing. This outlines the requirements consistent with the revised state law related to comprehensive permits, including letters of eligibility, meeting local housing needs, monitoring agents, application procedures, municipal subsidies, density bonuses, parking, number of bedrooms, floor area, and how decisions can be made and how these types of developments can be approved and how they can be denied. So that's all in that section. It's all consistent with the changes to state law. That's the zoning ordinance requirements. I mean, I know it's a lot. You know, this is something we've been working on for a year, so it's pretty clear in my mind, but I'm sure if I'm just saying it to you right now, it's a lot, so.
So we're gonna have a public hearing, but honestly, it doesn't really matter what the public feels about this?
Yes, we've encouraged everyone who is annoyed by these particular round of non-conforming uses to contact your legislator, because they're the ones that make the state law, and we just have to follow it.
And the law's already been passed.
And it already has been passed.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, because we have to conform, we have no choice.
Correct.
So call the governor's office, all your legislators.
This was the leagues of cities and towns, what they were trying to fight.
They were.
And anybody with planning experience is trying to fight this, because it doesn't make sense.
Or at least try to clarify, customize, give some room to make a different interpretation or between Providence and Foster.
Right.
But everything is equal across the board. No exceptions.
Our planner is the only person I ever heard like this.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, true.
Wasn't very effective, but we tried.
All right.
Okay, so that concludes the kind of overview of the first reading of the zoning ordinance requirements.
Thanks for all that.
Sure thing.
Now we need this one. That first reading, the zoning, page 4.
I'll make a motion to accept the first reading for the proposed amendments to the Glocester Code of Ordinance, Chapter 350, zoning ordinance, and set a public hearing date for November 21st, 2024.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, D, subdivision regulations, proposed amendments, notice to council, discussion or action. Subdivision regulations are amended after the notice to council public hearing of the planning board. Karen can explain those proposed changes.
Okay, so subdivision regulations, again, they're all itemized. There's a cover letter on top. It should itemize every single change, and it'll match kind of the way I go through it. So the planning board adopts and maintains the subdivision regulations, but when they're making changes, they're required to seek the input of town council, which is what we're doing right now, seeking your input on these subdivision regulations. The council has to the public hearing before the planning board to provide written comments on any of the amendments, which the planning board will take, you know, under advisement during the changes. And the public hearing is scheduled for November 12th. So essentially, anything I go over right now, Anything that you wanna make changes to, you submit it, in writing, either through Jean or me, and I'll make sure it gets to the planning board. Alright, so I'm just gonna go, just to give you a quick overview, of what these are. So, first one, certificate of completeness, this just alters the definition to match state law, it's pretty consistent with what we do right now. Next one, minor subdivision, this one is significantly changing. So a minor subdivision used to be the creation of 5 or fewer lots, and this used to be decided by the planning board. No public hearing, but in a public forum at a public meeting. Now, a minor subdivision is up to 9 lots, and it's solely decided by the administrative officer, which is me, which I don't want to do, but we looked for a million ways for me to not be the person that makes this decision, but this is what state law requires now. So anything 9 lots and under requires no public notice, no meeting before the planning board, and gets approved administratively.
So basically takes the public right out of the process.
Sure does. And again, I want to stress, this is
No, it's
not
not-
something
no.
we want to do,
This
this
is
is not
state
something
law.
I want to do, it's not anything I agree with. I think that,
It's state law.
you know, maximum public input is always the way we have operated, and this is what it is. So that's just a minor subdivision. A minor land development project, now that's projects up to 7,500 square feet of new commercial or industrial. An expansion of an existing commercial use by 50% or 10,000 square feet. Multifamily of 9 units or less. Mixed use 6 units with up to 2,500 square feet of commercial, and most adaptive reuse projects. Those are all by the administrative officer now. No public input, no planning board, no nothing. Unless, wait for it, they're in a growth center. Then they can be done through the land development process in front of the planning board with public hearing. So, go back to the comprehensive plan, we created growth centers. So our growth centers are the entire village district and our commercial districts. So now we've put them back, hopefully, in front of the public. So that was kind of the way we worked as a group to try and figure out how can we get public input back into it, at least for commercial development, and that's what we did. So that's the significance of the growth centers that we're creating in the comprehensive plan. All right, that's minor subdivision. Major subdivision, this mirrors the state law. It's more prescriptive about who you can solicit comments from and what's required during different stages of review, but it maintains the public hearing requirement. It used to be a public meeting and a public hearing, now it's just one single public hearing, but there's still a public hearing requiring notice. So it's just now it's gonna be 10 units or more, which if I look at the 8 years I've been in Gloucester, we've had 3 of those that have been 8. The vast majority is under 10 lots or 10 units. And then all those commercial that I talked about, over 7,500 square feet, all that stuff, that'll now still stay with the planning board. Design requirements. This is a section of the development plan review that was removed from the zoning ordinance, and now it's replaced here with some minor changes, nothing drastic from what we required before. The next section, development plan review, that's the rest of the section that was removed from the zoning ordinance and relocated here with just some minor changes to be consistent with state law. The process is the same. There's going to be there's a informal development plan review, which is kind of maybe things that you'll do, administrative change of use, real basic things, and then there's major development plan review, which is where we're trying to funnel most of the things in the growth centers, and anything that falls outside of the definition of minor subdivision and minor land development, that will all be under development plan review, but that will require a public hearing in front of the planning board. So at least we can get the commercial development there. Unified development review, this mirrors the process that I talked about earlier with the zoning revisions, where the planning board sits as the zoning board and the planning board when someone needs something before the planning board. It also needs a variance, just the complementary section in the subdivision regulations. Administration, this formalizes the technical review committee. So part of these state law changes makes the technical review committee kind of a more formal body. Doesn't give them any power. It's only advisory. They don't decide anything, but they're required to post their meetings on the Secretary of State's website and do minutes, have rules of procedure, that kind of stuff. So, we're working on all that stuff with the planning board. Waivers and modifications, this is all now included within the development plan review section, no changes to we had in it before. Appeals, so appeals from the administrative officer and the planning board used to go to our own zoning board of review. So if the planning board denied a development proposal, they appeal to the zoning board, our zoning board, but sitting as the zoning board of review rather than, or the zoning board of appeals rather than zoning board of review. So they would handle all the appeals. That's no longer the appeal process. Appeals that are related to development decisions, either from the administrative officer or the planning board, will go directly to Superior Court now. And definitions, I went through most of the definitions, the changes to minus land development, the changes to development plan review, and that's just, they're all gonna be just listed separately in addition to being in the individual sections. Okay, that is all the subdivision. And again, this is only the first round. We're gonna have at least 2 more rounds of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
So
for
again,
all the time you put into doing this.
Sure, thanks. So again, any comments on the subdivision stuff that I talked about, get it to me, get it to Jean, we'll make sure the planning board sees it by their November 12th public hearing. All comments are welcome. I just wanted to maintain we did everything we could to kind of maximize public input, and this is mostly just consistent with the new state law, and we don't have a lot of opportunity for major changes to that, but, you know, maybe you'll think of something we didn't think of. You know, that's the benefit of getting more eyes on it, so.
Thanks, Karen.
All right.
There's one more motion there.
Yep, can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to acknowledge the proposed amendments to the subdivision regulations and forward approval or issues to the planning board for the public hearing on November 12th, 2024.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. E, boards and commissions, appointments, discussion or action. Historic District Commission, discussion or action. Number 1 position. Number 3, 3-year term to expire 10/31/2027. This position is for the expired term of Neil Esposito. The chair has indicated all members whose terms have expired wish to be reappointed. So can I get a motion?
Motion to reappoint Neil Esposito to the Historic District Commission, position number 3, for a 3-year term to expire 10/31/27.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Position number 4, 3-year term to expire 10/31/2027. This is a term for Stephanie King. Can I get a motion?
Motion to reappoint Stephanie Kane to the Historic District Commission, position number 4, for a 3-year term to expire 10/31/2027.
Can I get a second? Okay, all in
I
favor?
have a question. Is Stephanie Kane, is she employed by the town?
She is an as-needed employee.
So I don't know, can employees be on boards and commissions? 'Cause we ran into this with the zoning board once. We had a part-time employee who was a dispatcher, and he couldn't be on it.
Is that different from a committee, is that different from a committee wall?
It was a zoning board, and this is, this actually they have some clout, Historic District Commission.
I'd have to look it up. I don't have that answer off the top of my head.
But she's already been on it, right?
Yeah, but
You wanna
Maybe we
become
can
subject, if you
table
wanna make
that
a
one.
positive motion, make it subject to confirmation that there's no, charter or zoning prohibition, rather than having to continue it. Why don't you do that and we'll confirm that?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, position number 5, 3-year term to expire 10/31/2027. This is for expired term of Clayton Lanfer. Can I get a motion?
Motion to reappoint Clayton Lampier to the Historic District Commission, position number 5, for a 3-year term to expire 10/31/2027.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Alternate 1-year position, 10/31/2025. This is expired term for Leanne Lyons. Can I get a motion?
Motion to reappoint Leanne Lyons to the Historic District Commission for the alternative 1-year term to expire 10/31/2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Zoning Board discussion and action, position 5, 5-year term to expire 10/2029. This item is expired for Chairman Gregory Meinertz. The chair wishes to reappoint. Can I get a motion?
Motion to reappoint Gregory Meinertz to the zoning board, position number 5, for a 5-year term to expire 10/2029.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. F, Leisure Field. Improvements proposed by Gloucester Little League, discussion and interaction. The clerk received the following request to the town council for the Gloucester Little League. Hi Gene, this is Paul McKenney with the Gloucester Little League. I hope all is well. Can we request to be added to the agenda for town council's meeting next week, 10/17? We'd like to request permission from the council to have some renovations done to the infield at Leisure Field. This request is not a financial request, nor is it a request for the town to perform the work. This is just a request for permission for us to do some work to the field, as it is a town field. When it rains, the infield floods for days because of poor quality index mix and grading of the field. Any rain typically renders the field unplayable for days because it does not drain properly. We like to remove the current top layer of clay infield mix, regrade the infield, and then add a better surface drainage infield. We believe this renovation will be a much-needed improvement to the town's field. Please let us know if we can be added to next Thursday's agenda. Thank you. Paul McKenney, and a memo. Discussion. Guys got a good opportunity
Yes, we do.
to,
You want to give us sort of a Reader's Digest version here of what's happening?
Sure, you want to take it.
Go ahead.
Paul McKenney, Gloucester Little League, Anastasia Lockton, President of Gloucester Little League. Thank you for having us tonight, Council. Leisure Field at Gloucester Memorial Park is used by the Gloucester Little League Juniors and Seniors Division. It's also used by middle school baseball. I'm also a coach at the middle school as well for the baseball team. Great field, awesome facility. The problem is when it rains, it floods for days and does not drain properly. It's a combination of poor infield mix, primarily made up of clay. Clay holds the water, does not drain. It's also not pitched properly, so when it rains, the field is rendered unplayable for days. Unlike Acoats Field, which drains great, we could get inches of rain on one day and play the next day at Acoats. At Leisure Field, if it rains, we cannot play for a couple of days. Local construction company in town, Javan Agro, offered their services to perform the work for us. They offered to redo the infield, like I said in the email, take out the top layer of infield mix, grade it properly, replace the infield mix with more of a sand material, less clay so that it drains properly, and also pitch the infield so that it drains to foul territory and not to home plate, to the infield. It's a minor project for them. They would not be doing any work in the outfield. They were doing work. The outfield is in pretty good shape. It's in good shape. Any work done to the outfield would turn a minor project into a bigger project. It's probably a couple of days worth of work. Some heavy equipment involved, probably bulldozer and or excavator with some dump trucks worth of infield mix, which that also offered to donate. So it's a great opportunity for the town, for the league, for the school, for the middle school. And we're just requesting permission to be able to perform that work.
That's great.
So we did ask them to provide the insurance certificate, which they did, and put the town of Gloucester as the additional insurance. So if you would like that, we can provide that.
So I think when our solicitor gets back, we'll ask him about that.
Sure.
Because I think we ran into that issue, right, with, when you guys wanted to work on the dugouts.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into a question of that, so.
That was, forget it, I think that was more volunteers versus an insured
Right.
entity.
Back then, it was more of, parents who were
Right.
willing to do the work, and maybe with the help of DPW and some money raised or whatever.
Yeah.
So they actually, even Agro is also saying, like, maybe as a side project, that the dugouts can be done at the same time.
Yeah, so
Because because they need to be bigger.
I remember we talked about with Gary
And
last
cover.
year, the year.
So-
Coverage,
Yes, well,
right,
we
foul
talked
balls,
to them,
safety.
yes, we talked to them if the dugouts would be a
I'm sorry?
possibility as
We have a
well.
question.
Oh, yes, sir.
So they have a, you heard their proposal. The question is, what type of insurance would they need, that it's an outside entity working on the field? They have a certificate for insurance, so we just need some guidance on all of that.
Yeah, as long as they list the town as an additional insured,
They did,
you have that, that's all we
they
need.
did.
Okay.
They even put in the notes that it's project specific to GLO Field.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Yeah.
And the insurance certificate is for how much? At least, okay, it's 2 million, all right, 2 million aggregate. This should be more than enough to cover.
Plus a very large umbrella as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a standard insurance certificate. It's listed the town of Gloucester as an additional insured, and it's from, which company?
Vinagro.
So,
I'm satisfied. I'm very familiar with these certificates. I watch them and review them all the time. We've used them in the town all the time. I'm satisfied.
Great.
had a long conversation with Channel Director of our DPW regarding this today. He was planning on being here and something came up. He had no objections whatsoever to this project, and actually thought the idea of it was wonderful. So I would just certainly say, I mean, clearly we're gonna need some coordination with the director and the folks who are donating their time and work, and perhaps, you know, they need to formally communicate, I would say, and I don't know, perhaps that it should involve a counselor. I don't know if it needs to really, but somebody representing the Little League and the director of the DPW, as well as whomever is sort of the project manager for that. But he thought that was a good idea, and it's all about communication on that. When the gates need to be unlocked, all that mechanical stuff.
They just need a timeframe.
Yep.
When they're gonna do
Yep.
it.
Yeah, we can certainly.
And I do think it makes sense that, you know, for example, our director of the DPW knows where, you know, the sprinkler head is or whatnot. So I think it just makes sense to just the communication part, but he was more than happy to do that.
Well, to see what you guys did to ACO's field, I trust your judgment with how you managed that that project to the new project at Leisure. I wish you guys a lot of luck.
Thank you.
I have no
We need
problems.
a motion to approve this order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve donated work and improvements to Leisure Field, provided with our solicitor's satisfaction of insurance coverage and communication with director of our DPW.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, G, ARPA funds. To obligate $20,000 from ARPA project, 8 police station tower discussion or action. Hey, chief,
Hey, how are you? Back at it again,
back at it again.
back at it again.
The
trying to
tower
get-
self-repair?
Excuse me?
No, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm respectfully requesting to de-obligate from the tower project $20,000. And that's gonna go for the security fence, and I have the exact numbers of what we're paying. The cops grant's gonna, well, first of all, let me take 2 steps back. The highway department did a phenomenal job over there. They cleared the land, they took out septic tanks, they took out an oil tank. There was some live wires there that we mitigated. We mitigated some big holes on the property, so we hopefully lowered any risk to the town by him cleaning it up. And that would be the first phase of us doing any work over there. It's in 3 or 4 weeks, they did a tremendous job. I can't say enough. I watched them every day, and it was fantastic. So as part of the COPS grant, we have Costco fence gonna put up a security fence, and that's only gonna hit 3/4 of the property, because we got work to be done on the front side at some point in the side, so, and then we wanna have an access control gate, and that will come out of capital at some point, because there's gotta be water, phase 2 of this is water mitigation on the property, phase 3 is taking all that property out, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars at some point, but I'll formulate a plan, a capital plan with the DPW director. Just an FYI also, in the last 7-8 years on my capital, long-term capital plans, I've asked for the security fence, but we pulled that all back because we were hoping to get a renovation of that.
Quick question on that, Chief. Is that work the DPW can do? I mean, you said it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, but isn't that something that our DPW can do or no?
I think you can do it. They were fantastic over the
That's what I'm
last.
saying, rather than, looking to spend that that much money on capital,
We-
maybe
and-
we can coordinate with DPW.
He finished up today, and he gave us somewhat of a grade, so we can maybe park some vehicles over there if we have to during, bad weather when they're plowing. I think the purpose of asking for this capital request is this grant we're in right now, the COPS grant, this is the only thing we have left, this is the only thing we got out of this whole project. The 495, 485, it's done in December. And the Costco is on the MPA, the fencing, and the total project is $68,000. So I'm trying to draw 12,000 from the tower fund, which is just sitting there, for this project, to get it, so we can get it done, we can complete the fencing on this. Does it make sense?
That part does. I was just referring to the grading and.
Yeah,
stuff.
I think they were fantastic. I was blown away on how fast they did it. I mean, there were huge trees there, and they took out septic systems and an oil tank that was left there, they did a phenomenal job. So, I can't say enough. And I think phase 2 would be the water mitigation, maybe some engineering, and I think he could do it. I mean, he's not there, I don't wanna speak for him.
I'm just saying, it would make sense again to save money to the town.
But you gotta, John, you're drawing all their resources away for a month over there to do that. But and I think they could, but that's for him to answer.
Okay.
But he did a phenomenal job. So for this, to complete that fence, it's 3/4, it would be, I'm gonna ask, $12,000, which we would come out of that 20. Now, the other project we have running at the same time is the dispatch center. That's communications, that was the bulk of this COPS grant funding, communications. We're getting a whole new dispatch center equipment. So I'm not getting what I want, but I'm getting halfway there. So with this renovation, we're gutting the whole dispatch center. And matter of fact, we have some flooring going into one room tomorrow, coming in from a vendor. So with that, by doing that dispatch center, we're gonna have to gut everything out, temporarily move it out of its location and put it in the old conference room. So people come in, they have we have to dispatch, they're gonna go from there. And that's gonna be about a month in December. But all that equipment and the vendors that are coming in, we have to be done by December 31st.
Okay.
The way I might want to analogize this is, it's like renovating a kitchen. I don't want to put the same cabinets in the same flooring that after I took everything out. This is a once-in-shot, 30-year, we take all this stuff out, because we're waiting for the new equipment to come in. I want to put new flooring in, which I'm going to pay for out of my asset forfeiture money. It's $4,600 for those 2 sections. But I'm going to put a new bathroom in, sink and new bathroom. We're going to, the new ceiling, new lighting, some plumbing, and some new cabinets and furniture. So that's why I'm asking for that $20,000 de-obligation from Project 8 to the tower. On the last thing you just obligated to out of the Secoshia fund, I think there's 11,000 left. I'd like to put that on the agenda, unless you have another use for it, and put that on the agenda if I can get that too. That way I can complete everything and it's done. The dispatch will be done by December, hopefully.
So what about the tower in the future?
That's a great question, John. The tower is, it needs to be done. It's a high priority capital project here in town, no question about it. We're in a grant process. We have the ARPA one, well, it'll be 130 now. We're in a grant process, the same earmark with Senator Reed, for $165,000 to assist us and almost complete the project. That was supposed to be determined by September 30th. Their fiscal year ends, the government ends in September 30th, goes September to December. September to September. That got pushed out to December. We have an election, we have a lot going on. So that's a jump ball in my eyes, if you get my.
Okay.
So at some point, if we get it, that's a high five. If we don't get it, then we're gonna come back in 25, 25, and that'll be a capital project. That's a high priority
I
project
understand.
we've been talking about for 3 years. And
And-
we're
and you
probably
hope-
not gonna get to where we need, we're gonna have to even get more town money or capital money to get that done.
Are you hopeful that we possibly would get that? You know, it's election year, but the fact that we didn't utilize the other
I'm
grant.
gonna give you an example. We got a $45,000, this is IT director, got a $45,000 cyber security grant. All right, cybersecurity in the town is huge. I work with him and we're linked to the state police on our training and some other programs and software. That got pulled back. We got the award, now it's pulled back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So,
All right.
we can only hope, we hope. So by de-obligating that money, if I can grab on the next meeting, the 11,000, I'm probably gonna, that will cover everything. I just don't wanna do this project and come in and the flooring's 35 years old. We're gonna put a new ceiling in, new drop ceiling, and new lighting, over the different things, so, it's a one-shot deal, so. And anything I don't use, I'll re-obligate back to the town, and on the last meeting in, December. So because we have to get that done if I'm right. Our money,
Obligated.
our project obligated, all our projects obligated, if that's okay, if it makes sense. I don't have time to wait till January for next May, because you got this other grant,
Okay.
ready to go.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to de-obligate $20,000 from the ARPA project number 8, police station tower.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, thank you very much, and can we put that 11,000, if it's already, if you have another purpose for it, I'm fine, I'll come back to something else. But if not, can we put that back on for next meeting?
Next agenda.
Yeah, we have for the next agenda, yep.
And
You okay
get
with
an
that?
update from, Beth as to where all your funds
Thank you
stand
very
by then.
So, I'll make a motion to obligate the ARPA funds in the amount of $20,000 to a new project, security fence and dispatch renovations at the Glocester Police Department.
Can I get a second?
Thank you very much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, chief.
Thank you, chief.
Okay, number I, fiscal fund balance reassignment, discussion and interaction. We received a request from the finance director, memo honorable town council, from Elizabeth A. Beltram, finance director, read fiscal 24 fund balance reassignment. Date October 17, 2024, Elizabeth A. Beltram, finance director. On June 20th, 2024, council approved a set aside of $3,000 from the FY24 building and zoning department budget to be used as a retention bonus to be paid to the newly appointed building official. Upon successfully completion of a 6-month probation period in FY25, as a result of the renegotiation of terms of building official employment to salary structure in September 2024, I'm requesting approval to transfer that amount back into the FY24 building and zoning department budget to reduce the total expenditures for that year, respectfully. And the memo. I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to transfer $3,000 back to the FY24 building and zoning department budget from previously approved set aside.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Authorization of signature, number 1, RIDOT, Municipal Road and Bridge Program, discussion or action. Council's received a request from the planner to town council members from Karen Scott, town planner, Gary Tremmel, DPW director, date October 15, 2024. Read, RIDOT Municipal Road and Bridge Program. In July 2023, RIDOT introduced a municipal road and bridge program. The program provided $20 million in funding for municipal roads, sidewalks, and bridges. The program requires a 67% local contribution with a 33% contribution from the state. The program was renewed for FY25. The town of Gloucester is eligible to receive $184,211 in state funds, but required to match the amount with $368,422 in local funds, which can include personnel that work on the identified road construction projects. The total roadway investment would be $552,633. Construction project must be completed by October 31st, 2026. Gloucester DPW has completed projects on Turtle Lot Hill Road, Willie Woodhead Road, and Spring Grove Road using FY24 RIDOT municipal road and bridge funds. Potential roads for FY25 funding include Chestnut Oak Road, Wilmarth Road, and Joe Sweet Road. The request is authorization for Town Council President, Finance Director, and Town Solicitor to sign the RIDOT municipal road and bridge agreement in order for the Gloucester to be eligible to utilize these funds on road construction projects. End of memo. Can I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to authorize the town council president to sign the FY25 RIDOT municipal road and bridge agreement.
A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Legislative updates, discussion, or action. Anybody have any legislative news besides losing our rights to zoning?
Heard enough from Karen tonight, thank you.
It's hard.
Harsh.
Love you, Karen.
Town council correspondence, we do have Mr. Tucker requesting an investigation of the matter with building and zoning, to which responsive discussion concerning revenue regarding unlawful overbuild, as well as status of present zoning laws that's requested.
That correspondence in here?
That correspondence is.
I need your copies, though. If it's kind of long and-
I'll read it in. Submitted by Howard F. Tucker, the third resident, 366 Pine Orchard Road, Chepachet, Rhode Island, 02814. Plat 10, Lot 34, mailing address P.O. Box 32, Chepachet, Rhode Island, 02814. Email htuckii@netscape to Gloucester Town Council in care of Gloucester Town Clerk. 288 Pine Orchard Road map, plat map 10, lot 193, with variance from adjacent lot 27 for a single-family home constructed by Tom Keating, who bought the property from the Hopkins family. Severity of the property and the topographical geology and hydrology in its entirety restricted this marginal oversized lot to one single-family home constructed before being varianced. The present owner of the varianced lot 193, Bobby Lee, built a large single-family home that can only be described as a tenant style with a double-decker wrap-around porch. There are 5 drain vent pipes protruding from the back roof. In the summer of 2018, Bobby Lee began work on a detached garage unit. The severity of the land required extensive site preparation with massive jackhammering excavation on this ledge that went on for weeks, promoting multiple inquiries by the Gloucester Building and Zoning Office as to purpose by others in the community nearby. Plat 10, Lot 34, 366 Pine Orchard Road shares property line with 288 Pine Orchard Road 2, which continuously maintained a path close to the property line where this development is in full view. When I made an inquiry to the Building and Zoning Office, it was after this rock fracking process had struck water in the subterranean section of the foundation, and pumps were being used in evacuation. The zoning and building officer, Ken Johnson, now retired, informed me this was a garage construction, quickly producing the blueprint seemingly at hand for ensuring parade of inquiry. I remarked that its footprint was larger than the house, and he agreed. By fall of 2018, the foundation was decked, capped, and 4-car garage bay door installed. Construction resumed in spring 2020, rising on top of the garage as a supersized full dorm cape style construction, and then some megaplex. Once again, I contacted the Building and Zoning Office for explanation. Since none was forth contacting, I contacted the Town Clerk's office. When finally I talked to the Building and Zoning Administrator, Ken Johnson, he informed me the garage was for antique cars, and the 2,000 square foot windowless void built on the previously decked and caped 4 large bay garage was to be a gymnasium. There's a full dorm roof construction above that with 3 large gabled windows facing south. The windowless void is presently covered with Typar underlayment and siding, installed elsewhere with a solar array installed on brackets, south facing below gabled eaves approximately 2 feet wide running the length of the building. This is a very secluded site, only partially visible from Pine Orchard Road when the leaves are off the trees. After the Rhode Island State Assembly passed a bill to change zoning throughout the state, then signed by the governor, I checked back with the Building and Zoning Office to see how this would affect the development, and was told that Bobby Lee and his wife signed a letter promising not to develop this construction into residential building space. I do not believe this said signed letter to be legal binding, lacking any credibility in of itself, or why it's even existing at all. Bobby Lee is a builder and developer who lives elsewhere. This property is being maintained by a property management company and will likely be developed into a multi-residential housing complex, as it's designed, as well as destroying the integrity of Gloucester zoning laws. This property sits above a very extensive spring system with a spring pool bordering on a conjuring lot 26 along Pine Orchard Road, and cannot support the septic field required for the density of development of which why zoning laws exist. Recent contact with the Building and Zoning Office and telephone conversation with Dennis regarding the status of Lot 193 and all of its nebulous promoting submissive the letter to the Town Council through the Town Clerk, investigation into this matter with Building and Zoning 2, which responsive discussion concerning remedy regarding unlawful overbuild, as well as the status of present zoning laws is requested. Signed, Howard Tucker, October 15, 2024.
I assume Dennis had a conversation with him and is looking into this, or?
Oh, he states he has, but I haven't spoken to Dennis, so I can find out from him.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah. Okay, department heads, or do we have any more correspondence? Okay, department head reports, discussion. Boards and commissions. Open forum. Sign up already? Yep, come on up.
Good evening, my name is Fred Naylor. I've lived at 17 Blackenham Drive for 70 years. I applied a year and a half ago for a building permit for a ground mount solar field, which I personally was going to do. I paid for a permit, and then I changed my mind. I had a company to come in and do it. They got a permit. When I first got my permit, it shows a floodplain is where it is. They showed me the map. Kenny came out and looked at it. There's no floodplain. He said, I don't even need inventory because I'm tucked way back. So now that company didn't get the ground people who were ready to come in next week in time, so they lost their time frame, so they canceled. So I went to a local rooftop power out of Warwick to do it. They called me last Thursday and said, now we gotta do a floodplain study because the GSI flood shows that as a floodplain. I don't know what the problem was. It's already been approved twice and 2 permits. Now the 3rd time with the new building inspector. He was left a message over a week ago. He's never called me. Nobody's gotten in touch with me. I've been to the office. I've spoke to 3 counselors today. Cheryl I spoke to the other day. I spoke to Steve, and I spoke to John. And I don't want to blow my opportunity because the problem is the ground people only do this. One company does it's not like all the stakes in the ground like the big commercial. This is a small residential. They pour the cement and do all this infrastructure. They're supposed to start next week, and now I got a roadblock, and they're telling me it's $2,000 to do a floodplain study. If you go there and look, I know John's been on my property before, all those houses in the field, there's 12 houses in that plat across from back to residence would be underwater. I sit way above that in elevation. So the floodplain map is not correct, which we know. Sheldon White House was on the news saying our FEMA's maps are not right because so many places are flooding that don't show floodplain zones, and now people don't have flood insurance. Well, it goes the opposite, where they have stuff that shows floodplain that isn't. So all I'm asking is somebody to come out and look at it. And Kenny did, there was no problem. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is, nobody's even gotten back to me, which I think is kind of not right.
So, do you have to get has DEM been to your property?
DEM, 30 years I fought with them for a pond I built, that's 4 acres. And this is right there part of what was done with them. It's all been approved by them and documented. So, I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out and looks at it, they just look at the back and says, you gotta do a $2,000 study. Crazy.
So you and I spoke for the first time this afternoon. I've not spoken to Dennis yet, and I should be able to speak with him tomorrow morning. And that's on my end, not on Dennis's end, in fairness. I did have time to do a little digging here, and, you know, again, I've not ever been to your property, we've never spoken until today.
Correct.
It is my understanding that, and I don't wanna overspeak or misspeak, but it is my understanding that floodplains are sort of non-negotiable, they can't be, it's a black and white, it's not a gray, there
Correct.
can't be exemptions on that kind of thing. So there is, and I can speak with you after the meeting or whatnot, but it does look like there's a lot of opportunity to place what you're looking to do on your property in a different area, based on my amateur,
I'm not in a floodplain. I'm so much higher in elevation. When somebody goes out with common sense is gonna say, the map's totally wrong. I know.
Yeah, and look, I don't,
But that's
I
what I'm
don't,
asking.
I don't,
Somebody come out and look, I mean, Kenny came out and looked at it, I know you guys have had problems with Kenny in the past on some stuff. But if you come out and look, anybody with common sense is gonna say, water can't flow uphill 3 feet, 4 feet. I mean, come out and I'll show you where the spillway is, where it goes over my driveway, and then from there, my old house I lived in, which is 9 Blackenden Drive, floods all the time. I've been in a canoe as a kid and paddled right out to the White Line at Dr. Resident's office, because my mom worked there. When that floods, it goes behind Apple Villa, and the road washed out at Century Motors, and then Gary had to fix Spring Grove, because that water goes through down to Spring Grove, and twice has washed out Spring Grove till they put the big culverts in. There's a pipe under Blackenden Drive, it's not big enough to take the flow. The next driveway down, between there and Terry Lane, he just had to fix all those pipes, because that was all flooded, and there's only one pipe. It goes 2 pipes under my parents' old property, then Blackenden Drive, then those 2 homes have all pipes on them, we've been in there 50, 60 years in the aluminum. They're probably starting to corrode and getting a little bit restricted. So that does not take the flow. Now, the woman told me that one neighbor on that plat complained about this basement flooding. Well, it's the last house built, they put a raised ranch, and they put a driveway like this down in, because they didn't want to raise the lot up to do, every time it rains, their basement floods. It's got nothing to do with me and my pond. I mean, there's no way, somebody's gonna come out with common sense and look at it and says, that map doesn't mean nothing. You're way out of the floodplain area,
Unfortunately, none of us have that ability to do that,
so who does?
so it would have to be Dennis, and then whoever he would have to.
Who decides?
I just to interject here, and again, I did as much digging as I had time for today, and it's my understanding that, you know, we could go out, Dennis could go out and say, yep, common sense tells me that's not floodplain or whatnot. And to me, what I'm seeing on this map, it looks like a very small area, and again, there may be a lot of opportunities. I think that you and Dennis should have that conversation about where it could go to eliminate that.
It's all plumbed in, it's all ready to go. I've spent.
But the flood, we can't go out, or our building official can't go out and say, yup, this map is wrong. It's
Who can prove it's wrong?
FEMA, I believe FEMA, and I would have the same reaction, but
So they told me I need to do a floodplain study, so that'd be Tommy D'Angelo maybe?
Yes, that's why I had to use.
Okay, so now,
If
if he
you look
comes
at
up
my
and.
property, It's not, you would never in a million years think I'm gonna flood. My house is on stilts high above the water. Never will flood. I had to pay Tommy D'Angelo $2 and change to do a determination to have my property removed from that floodplain on that panel of the FEMA map. No questions asked.
So,
No
that was
bank, no one would let come near my
$2,000?
house. That was probably 10 years ago, so I have no idea now.
And I
Frank,
hired
what
him
it's gonna
for the
cost.
backside of Big Bear as well, and he's very good
I
at
know
what he,
Tommy, I've dealt with Tommy.
Yeah.
yeah, he's,
but
That's the
Who
guy.
I go to, but.
we
That
don't
was
have
10 years
the,
ago, though.
So
we
who's
don't have-
liable to pay me back because their maps are wrong?
It's FEMA's map,
no
you
idea,
know?
yeah.
Who's liable for the maps wrong? I mean, if I gotta prove that somebody didn't do their job correctly, somebody should be liable for that. And I'm also gonna say, and it's not, but they've already been approved twice on 2 permits for that same project with the go-ahead. Now, this is the 3rd company, and now they give me a roadblock, and they're ready to come in next week and pour cement. What do? I don't wanna lose the opportunity like happened with the other one. There's only that one company that comes out and does the ground mounts, setup.
I think you have to get that study done. From what, again, I haven't researched, I was away, I literally got here like 20 minutes, I got back down 20 minutes for this meeting. But, you know, Steve did speak with, no, he didn't speak with Dennis, but he did some research on it.
And this is all, you know, in the last, this is this afternoon
Yeah,
between
Yeah.
everything, so I.
But it sounds to me like,
Yeah.
I think you should get that study done and then get it removed, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, go pay $2,000 for something that's,
Again,
somebody didn't do their job to have the map that way? Why am I stuck
And
paying a price for somebody who didn't do their job correctly?
Fred, I don't have an answer for you for that, I don't.
Right, and again, this is not, we didn't create the map,
No, I realize
you
that.
know, and I feel your pain and
The town gave me
frustration.
2 permits with no problems to do it. Now, the 3rd time, I'm getting bit, and they're ready to come in next week. They called me last week. Dennis hasn't called me in a week.
Well, I think it's important that one of us gets in touch with Dennis to
I think you
request-
deserve a response from Dennis.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'm his
It's important
liaison, I
that-
can call him in the morning.
He should come out and look at it. But why could I be told by Kenny I'm all set, and now I'm getting kicked hard? And they're ready to come in next week, and I gotta spend $2,000 or better? I don't know what it's gonna cost. It's crazy. If you come out and look, there's nothing wrong with it, and if I do the study, it's gonna prove it. Who's gonna pay the bill? I shouldn't have to if that map is not correct. You guys have already issued me 2 permits with green lights to go. Now I get a 3rd permit for a different company, and you guys put the red light on. Stop.
Did you say something changed over the past couple of years?
Yeah, the floodplain changed, went back almost 50 feet. That's what when I was looking at buying the land across from Big Bear, and it looked like it was 28 acres it showed, but only now, before the floodplain, you could use 16 of the acres. Now, I think you can only use 8. And you have no access to the property.
So is it, I mean, I don't know, you were telling me.
Yeah, I
Did it
don't know
change
if
in the past 2
something's
years?
changed.
Yeah, it changed in the last, it
Since
changed
you were
like a
issued
year.
a permit or not, I don't want, you
So
don't
can
wanna
I go back to
speculate
my
on
first
that.
permit where I had the green light to go and just do it in my name again? I had the green light to go from the town. So what happens if I go back to my first, I paid for 3 permits?
See, I don't know how it relates to
There's no way
permits.
this council can resolve this. This is obviously a federal issue, not a town issue. But, I mean, all you can do is have Dennis give some guidance.
And again,
You can't get the answer.
it's my understanding that when it comes to floodplains, there can't be like an appeal or a hearing or a variance, it's black and white with FEMA, so I don't know, to me, for, again, small amount of time dug into this afternoon, it sounds like Dennis is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and I know that's not what you wanna hear, and makes no, I don't understand why you were issued beforehand, unless, again, the floodplain changes have been,
But I got the first permit,
since,
so can I?
right,
go on
unless
that?
those changes were
So,
after the first
So
permit.
I'll go back to the first permit in my name and
I don't think that's, unfortunately, it's not like your grandfather, if DEM is moving the water. Why don't you give us till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? Let us look up, and I don't wanna sit here and,
I don't know if he could or couldn't.
yeah, Dennis will know all that, because that's what he does.
he hasn't called me in over a week, so that's.
I'm his liaison, I will reach out, or I'll send him a text that Mr. Arnold is going to reach out to him in the morning.
So basically, it's almost saying I gotta go spend $2,000 to prove that map is wrong.
We don't know that right now, let us hear from
You
him
may
in
not
the
know that,
morning.
but that's more than likely what will happen.
Yeah.
I already spent all the money, did all the infrastructure, it's all ready to go, and now I'm told it's wrong.
I feel your frustration, I get it, we're here to help you,
I know,
we're
but-
here to help you.
If Dennis gives us some kind of a, hey, this is the direction, we're more than happy to help you get to the direction you gotta get to. So just give us till tomorrow morning
I
to
just don't wanna
find the
lose
real answer.
the opportunity for these guys to come in and do the, because there's only one company that does the infrastructure, then they come in and do their racks and do all the panels.
Right.
Right.
And that's what happened with the second permit. That company fell through the cracks, they didn't get that company in time, and that ran out, they had to have it up by that date by Rhode Island Energy with the permits they got. So I don't wanna keep losing all these dates because of,
We promise to
Craig,
get back
I
to you tomorrow
understand,
morning.
like I said, Steve's gonna speak with Dennis in the morning.
Yeah,
all right, thank you, appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, Freddie.
Anybody else for open?
Yes, sir.
Just state your name for the record.
Jeffrey Gross, Money Hill Road. I'm back again. Okay, 3 nights ago, there was another accident in front of my house. That makes a minimum of 3, possibly 4, in the short 10 months I've been here. Speaking with my neighbor Brian, who lives further north on Money Hill, he said there had been a number of severe accidents over the last 7 years. I've been in contact with a Sergeant Holly Barrett out of Burrville PD. She acknowledged they've had some severe accidents up on their end of 100, and that the department was going to come down heavily on the speeders up there. Now, I know that most departments, if not all departments in the state, are short-handed. About a week or 2 ago, a Glocester PD officer pulled a Jeep over right in front of my house, but on an angle coming off of the fork. According to the driver of the Jeep, who talked to me afterwards, the driver admitted he was doing a minimum of 10 miles an hour over the limit. Ironically, he also had 2 young children in the back of the car, back of the Jeep. For whatever reason, the officer was called away in an emergency. Obviously, you can't be in 2 places at the same time. There have been Harleys pulled over for speeding and on the wrong side of the road out in front of Citizens Bank. It's starting and looking like Thompson Speedway out there. The end of September, I took a 20-minute sampling. Approximately 30 vehicles were speeding, 50-50 male and female drivers. Many of them had Massachusetts plates. Having driven in the Boston area for a number of years, that is no surprise that Massachusetts residents don't want to abide by the speed limit. 12 of the 30 were speeding severely. I mean, V8s racing and screaming at will. Now, I am not sure the process for this, but I was wondering if the town council, the town, can allot an extra emergency $20,000 to that fine gentleman in the back there with the sole use of enforcing the speed on 100 and 102. Assuming an overtime rate, because obviously the department is short-handed, at $50 an hour for overtime, that accounts for, would allow 400 hours of overtime of approximately 50 days of enforcement, which is about 1.7 months, if my calculations are correct. 1.7 months of daily heavy traffic speed enforcement is going to have a severe impact on the drivers in this area, regardless of what state they're from. And I'm quite certain the word will get out. I'm willing to assist in any way, shape, or form to have this done. Like I said, there was an accident 3 nights ago right outside my front door. Something's got to change. And I know the chief could use more help, and I know it's very labor intensive to get new officer recruits, so that's why I'm thinking maybe going the overtime route.
I guess we'd have to have them. Yes.
Thank you for the overtime boost, I like that. That's great. We did put a lot of traffic posts out there. We have it on our day sheet, our Bible, everything, and we talked a lot about it on roll call. We've had 10 DUIs in the last 2 weeks. We had 2 during the day. We had one where Tate had a track, all in that, on 44 and other areas, so we've been extremely busy, but we've done a lot of posts, we're just not getting the speeds that he says. And I don't believe we haven't had a bad accident. You're gonna get fender benders coming out 100 north, and that's what the rotary's designed for. Slows the traffic down, and then they jet out. But we just didn't get it. The first time he came, we put a very good effort into traffic posts over there. And, we set up, and people slow down, obviously, to the officers, we just weren't getting the speeds. So.
What's up with those, you set them up, they record your speed?
As a matter of fact, we do have, as part of this grant, we picked up one of those.
Okay.
As part of the traffic, it's the COP, community-oriented policing, we picked up the communications aspect and some traffic stuff, and that was one thing, we just haven't got it mobilized yet, and that would probably be very well.
They could just monitor what the speed
Well,
actually.
that would, but it would show you speed, and then,
That's what I'm saying.
people, I'm not saying anything, after 12 o'clock, you get, things could happen, we've had, from our other systems, we have, you get some
Craziness.
Nothing happens good after 12, right? So,
I know.
but during the heavy traffic time, I'm just not getting that, but we'll jump on it again.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you everything I got. I don't need overtime. We have grants with Riptide, that's DUI money, speed money, quicker to ticket, and they're out right at the rotary, quicker to ticket. So we have that federal money that we use for that, and that's the extra patrol.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a force multiplier. If you have 3 out, then you have 1. It's great.
Yeah, 'cause he's right, you put a car out there for, a couple of weeks, and then people start saying, oh, they're gonna be.
They've
But
been there.
they're on that. They're in that area a lot, though.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they pulled over the Harleys and the other ones, so
Yeah.
it sounds like they've been there, you've been seeing them, just
Yeah.
maybe a little more.
Literally, 30 hours tonight, as I was writing a reply email to Burrville, I had 2 V8 motorheads go screaming northbound on 100, so.
We get it, we do a lot of traffic, like I said, we've had 10 DUIs, and they're bad ones, we've had 10 in the last 2 weeks. 2 during the day, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then, we had one last night, we just, we've been back and forth, raining people all the time. So we've been busy, but we'll give it the attention, so.
I can give you some good ambush points.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Anybody else? All right.
I'll make a.
Yeah, go ahead.
First.
No, you can just, yeah.
So we won't be needing executive session?
Yeah, we will, to make a motion to remove executive session from the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, what now? We're
Wall?
done?
Football and baseball?
Still got a couple hours, but,
Wall says it's not midnight, he's very disappointed over the past year and a half.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Hey, I got it up in like 15 minutes.
What's that?
That thing that she said we have to go to her too?
I just gotta figure out how to, I'm gonna have her.
No, this is all you gotta do. Just download it, it's all there.